What is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafa Sparza, coming to you with another great preview show with our good friends, Tim and Jake. Before we get to them, a couple quick reminders. One, you like this merch? Oh, look at this. Look at this Grappling Hour t-shirt. And this Grappling Hour t-shirt, we have them in different colors. You can go on over to rafasparza.com/merch, get yourself one or a hoodie. I've seen it's been very cold. Here in Los Angeles, it actually hailed on Sunday while I was watching the Combat Jiu-Jitsu event with our good friend Brandon McCatherine. And that was very weird. Good thing I had my hoodie on that I was not wearing. But still, it was just good that I had it. So you can check that out. If you want to see our latest interviews, we just put up a new one with a gentleman by the name of Christian Diguero. And he is a local fighter out this way. Super great. Got to comment his fight. Really enjoyed that. If you want to check that out, you can go to patreon.com/grappling hour, see our interviews 30 days before anybody else. And for a few extra bucks, you can see extra bonus content not available anywhere else. We did tape studies with a couple athletes recently. Those are going up as well. We are also doing ADCC profiles on every athlete possible. Side note, editor's note, we may not do every single person, but we're going to do our damnedest to do everybody. I don't know if you know, this was like 100 people doing it. That's a lot. But you can check that out at Patreon for that. And there's also a segment called Roast Rap where people roast my competition footage. So enough of that. Let's get to the business here. We do have friends and we do have things to talk about. Like, comment, and subscribe. If you don't know what you want to comment on by the end of this video, we will give you a prompt. But we have a lot of friends here who keep very busy. And we had one in particular working their... I don't like to cuss around him as much. Like I do. I'm not going to stop cursing. But like... And I don't like saying butt. Like, I don't like saying he worked his butt off. Like, he worked his rear off. No, that doesn't sound good. He worked very hard over the weekend over at Pans. So please welcome back to the show, one, Jake Watson. Jake, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Working my ass off down there in the PGF Pan Champions.
I just don't want to be a bad influence on you. Like, I kind of see I know I am, but I just want to make sure. Like, I don't want to ruin your brand.
Oh, no. The word ass is in the Bible, but
it is. That is true.
Yeah. So, but I did work hard down at Pans. So that was a good weekend. It was a good weekend of a lot of commentary, like 7 hours on Saturday, 7 hours on Sunday. So another day, another weekend.
Child, 7 hours is nothing. I'm going to literally do 7 hours of my sleep this weekend for ADCC Fight Companion.
I'm going to be there. Okay, well, I'm going to be there commentating ADCC, so
that's fine, but you'll have breaks. I will not. You know why? Rockstar. Anyway, that's not what this is about. Let's bring up our good friend, Tim Freeman, who I think will be doing nothing this ADCC weekend. Tim, what are you doing for ADCC?
Yeah, I'm living right. That's what I'm doing. I'll read the summaries when they're over, and I'll find out who did what as I prepare for PGF Season 6.
There we go. What a smart man. Look, this dude, this is how you know the priorities are straight. You can tell those of us who have been doing this long enough to get out of here, we know better. We're like, you know what? I got 10 minutes tops to be on this. So, Tim, I did want to say this. If you would like, we would love it if you call in during the weekend when we do our Fight Companion, because some people over here are being employed by the Empire. So, just saying.
The Empire?
Yeah, that'll be great.
Are they not?
I don't know.
Okay. You didn't watch Star Wars well enough. I get it.
I did. No, I did. I feel like if they were the Empire, I'd know.
Are you sure about that?
Shoot, dude. Yeah, Tarkin was a bad dude, man. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Okay. I think you will be surprised.
I noticed I gave a dated reference. I didn't reference the prequel trilogy or the sequel trilogy. I referenced the original.
No, I understand. I know what you're doing here, and that's good for you. Anyway, Tim, invitation is out there. We'll send you the same link. You're welcome to join us anytime you want. We're doing call-in for 5-minute hits throughout the weekend, and as it stands, there was actually one Trials winner who agreed to be a correspondent for us virtually. So I'm very happy to say that is kind of cool when you have a Trials winner who's like, well, I don't have to go. I'll call in.
Nice.
Very nice.
Amongst other people. So that's what's going on. Gentlemen, we have a lot of business to attend to. I don't want to spend too much time here, but Tim, I would ask this. Did you ingest any other jiu-jitsu this weekend? Were you watching anything? Did anything catch your eye?
I watched some combat jiu-jitsu over the weekend. That was probably the biggest thing that I did. Outside of watching a little bit of the UFC, mostly just focused on combat jiu-jitsu.
Good man. Was there anybody at combat jiu-jitsu who impressed you?
Yes, 10th Planet, New York City's Ray DeLeon, man. He looked fantastic. He had a great run. I thought he did really well. Obviously, in the finals, those dudes were tough. As Mash came up in the finals, what a great last name, by the way. Like, if you're going to be slap fighting, that's a great last name. Overall, though, to be honest, man, and I talk about this a lot about combat jiu-jitsu, the striking continues to evolve. Like, it continues to look better and better and better, and it's becoming a bigger factor in combat jiu-jitsu. I think combat jiu-jitsu is going to get a real big boost.
I want to point this out that you mentioned him. There was somebody who caught my eye who was integrating slaps in a way that I messaged him and was like, hey, man, good show, but you will never be allowed to slap me. And that was one Zach Schneider, where he had one of the biggest pops that night. And I go, yo, I knew you were good, but I didn't know you had that in you, fam. And please stay away from me.
Yeah, I'm looking.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt. What's up, man?
No, never mind, man. I was going to say, I'm looking for the integration between Dana White's slap fighting and combat jiu-jitsu.
Oh, God.
Like, when are we going to see this cross-training? I was
right. My producer instinct was right to interrupt you. Let me point this out. So Dana White says some nonsense that is going to get played, where he's like, yo, I don't want to say anything too controversial, right? Wink. But I think I'm going to get a lot of blowback for this, but like, I think no-gi's better. Oh, and I go, wow, what a statement. So what I love is you have all these guys who are reposting that who love no-gi. I love no-gi too, but I'll tell you this much. They're reposting the dude who basically puts on slap fights, CTE concussion live. And they're like, you know what? I agree with this guy. And I go, he's not necessarily the arbiter of taste. And he didn't create the UFC. So perhaps when you look at his solo ventures like that, not the guy you want to quote. Just saying. Also, Zuffa Boxing. Where is that? Anyway, enough on that one. Jake Watson, there was a comment about you. And I don't know that you've seen this, but it says, this is not the Star Wars fan you are looking for. So that comes from Egghead himself. I would tell you this. I think it's very likely you're going to get out-nerded on the Star Wars references because Egghead had that one ready to go.
Yeah, I'm on your side, Jake. I am not playing the Star Wars game, man. We'll
I mean, I love Star Wars. I do love Star Wars. It's just,
I love it too.
I'll put it to you this way, Jake. You can continue getting paid. And when they pay me, I may clean up my act and say nice things about them. But I, like you, am always surprised when they put me on because I go, oh, wait, they gave me a live microphone? Uh-oh. Yikes. Well, for 3 hours, you're about to hear my voice. So there is that. All right. Gents, we do have some issues to get to. Why don't we go ahead and transition on over to the board? I'll go ahead and show you guys what it is. Now, off air, you can tell this is how things go. I did have one of you asked, what is this? Right? Like, Tim, you were asking that. You were saying, what is WTF, right?
WTF, dude.
Okay. Well, I feel like you asked me that question, but the reality of it is, I feel like, Tim, I have to ask you that question. And to do that, I actually have to go to a different board here. So we're going to this board just so that I can bring up this very, very big thing, which I asked both of you. Tim, what the hell is this? Like, what did you do? Why did you make power rankings? There was already a power ranking that was out there. And all of a sudden, I wake up and I go, Inside BJJ has rankings? And then I thought, do I have to do that? No, I'm not doing that. I do enough. Tim, I ask you this to start it off. Why did you create your own power rankings?
I'll tell you why. Because I damn could. That's why I did it. And that was the thing, honestly, that I probably spent the most time on this weekend, just reading the messages and laughing, responding, stoking the fire. But yeah, man, I decided to put it out there, shake it up a little bit. Obviously, there's some controversy in the list. Obviously, Elijah Carlton's not everyone's favorite grappler, especially not Andy Varela. But yeah, man, I wanted to throw it out there and see what people really thought.
Let me ask this, Jake, is this your first time seeing this list? I don't think it is, but I'd like to get your reaction to it.
No, this is the first time I've seen this monstrosity for sure. I saw this and I was like, wow. And you know what? I respect you. I respect your opinions as a man and as a professor in the jiu-jitsu community. So I'm sure that there is some logic behind it. But and I get it. Number 7 ranked on the PGF. I guess we'll call them the official rankings leading into season 6. Elijah Carlton, number 7. In your mind, Elijah Carlton, number 1, ahead of, and you kept Andy Varell at number 2. But PJ Barch, taking PJ Barch from number 1 down to number 3. And then you kept Renato Canuto at 4. Also, my question, why is Renato Canuto red and the other ones are shades of blue?
I didn't pick the colors. But I will say this. You'd think Barch would be the most upset guy. The guy that didn't move in the list, number 2, was the most pissed out of everybody. Easy argument for Carlton, man. This guy's the PGF Season 5 champ. He won Season 1. He went through 3 straight seasons, almost submitting every opponent. He is Mr. PGF. How is he not at the top of the list? If we're doing ACC, he's not there. But we're doing PGF.
If you're going to call it the PGF rankings and it's specific to PGF competitive history, then I can agree with you. So these are the PGF specific power rankings. The preseason rankings, are we just, because the PGF world, were they just trying to make it a holistic idea of how people have done in every tournament?
It's based on how do I think these guys rank up preseason for the PGF format. There's no way Carlton's not at the top of the list. Where do you put him then? He's the most successful PGF competitor. You put him at the bottom?
I want to point this out. They have referred to him on air as the Hoist Gracie of the PGF. And although I guess conveniently true, even when I interviewed him, I was like, we have to talk about this. I don't want to call you that, and I'm not going to call you that. And he was like, I guess that's fair. He goes, but they're saying it because I was like, I know why they're saying it. I just won't be referring to you as that, just so that you understand, even though, yes, you were there technically first. So hold on. We are getting some insight here. Oh, this is why we love you, Egghead. Elijah is 59-2 with 5 draws in the PGF. No one knows this game more than Elijah. So, okay, thank you for indulging this dumb list. Tim, this is why I got mad, is because you made it so that the rest of us have to do more work. I don't mind you stirring the pot, but my first thought was, I was like, is Brandon going to call me and ask me to do this too? Because, like, I don't have this. But then I thought about it, and I realized maybe I was wrong here. Because I saw that you put time into that. And I saw that the comments were reflective of, hey, man, that's mean. I don't think you know what it would be like to be ranked like that. And so I said, well, why not actually come up with the power rankings of the pre-show? So here, we're going to go through the power rankings of the pre-show. At the top of the list is Matt Scaff, because he got out real quick and he knew better. So I think that's the biggest power move there is. Second is me, because, I mean, let's be real. If I'm not doing this, this does not move. Then if we go further down the line, we'll go ahead and see that the next interesting person is going to be the audience. So the audience coming in at a strong number 3 on the power rankings for the pre-show. And I want to tell you guys, if you think it gets better, it actually gets worse. Coming in next is Tim Freeman at number 4.
Dang.
Tim, how do you feel about being number 4? You would think maybe top 2 here, right?
I feel, I'm going to use another word that's also in the Bible. I feel like you're a bastard, Raph. I can't believe you did this to me, man. You bumped me down
You
all the
think
way
I
to
did
number
this to
4.
you? Oh, I'm so sorry.
You
here.
put me under the audience. Come on.
Well, I mean, listen, the audience came through with stats. I don't know if you just saw what happened here, but like legitimately, my point could not have been more well put. Let's go forward and see what's happening here. Number 5 coming in here is Andy Varela. He gets really in his feels if he's not on a list somewhere. So I had to make sure that we at least acknowledged him there. He's not necessarily on the pre-show, but I think we all know what happens when he's like, yo, you didn't put me on that list. I feel a certain way. I'm about to suplex a child. So we move down one more. Internet trolls coming in at number 6. So, I mean, they're very powerful. They're very influential. You know, I don't have to justify my rankings. I think we should just keep going here. Coming in at number 7, Hickson. Now, controversial choice here, because most people might be like, Hickson's not even coming on your dumb show. True, he's not, but also 400 wins, questionably. I think that's an important place to put him on the pre-list. Don't you?
Oh, yeah. Strong move. All I'm going to say is I am ranked higher than Hickson on this list.
Well, don't say that one out too loud. Let's just make sure, because then he's going to get in the comment section. Going down a little bit further here, we'll see it's the free trial guy. So it's the guy who comes to sign up once, but doesn't come back. So he's number, I think this is what, 8? Okay, so number 8 on the pre-show list. Now, mind you, there are 3 people here on the show, so it is weird if somebody doesn't get ranked. You would think, oh no, it's Jake Watson at number 9, and I think that's really good. And of course, last is Diddy. So I want to make sure that everybody knows that that is how we have ranked all of the pre-show.
Pause.
Wow.
Yes. I'm one step above Diddy.
I'm sorry, do you want to be below Diddy? So let's be very clear here. Are you not happy that you're at least higher on the scale than him?
Why is he on the list?
Dude, because he got out and bailed. Like, listen, dude, he's not good as a human being, but can't stop, won't stop. I mean, listen, dude, that dude, he found the Notorious B.I.G. And we wouldn't have Conor McGregor without the Notorious B.I.G. So really a funnel comes down. So he's on the list.
These are power rankings, so they will update as events unfold. I imagine I'm going to go up in the list, and I imagine that as we find out more about Diddy being a horrible person. That sounds like a lot
of work, because I actually, when I committed to this bit, I said, okay, I want it to move. I want it to like debut. And I said, oh shit, Raph, like how much time are you going to spend on this? And I go, no, I'm going to commit to the bit. Andy Varela at number 5 is like what justified it, where I go, yeah, I'm in. All right, let's do that. So I'm just saying, Tim, how does it feel to be ranked now? Because you did this to other people, and I wanted to make sure you knew what it felt like.
Well, as a ranked person, I understand what it feels like to be ranked. You know, so I feel like being able to speak on that, it's not that bad. Anyone in the top 5 is being a crybaby. Like, you're crying, dude. Top 5, you're crying. You're literally crying about your position. You know, I could see if I moved you, you know, to 15 and you were number 5. And there's some guys that are mad about stuff like that. But
I mean, let's put it this way: you guys move me any further than 2nd, this show does not exist. So I would just very quickly like end credits very quickly on this. Let's return to the actual board. But yes, I do like the fact that Tim was like, you know, we have a little rundown for the group here, and you were like, hey, I don't know what the WTF is. What is that? And I go, don't you worry about that. Well, you just show up, sir. So we were able to get that. All right, let's get back to the actual questions here that are very important. The question that was proposed is, which celebs do you think will attend the PGF Season 6? I'm going to go ahead and start this one on over with Jake Watson.
Well, as the number 9 representative on the list, I feel I have a certain not even important take to give here. But I think that if we're going to see an athlete attend the PGF, or a former UFC fighter attend the PGF, let's say, it'd probably be one that resides in Las Vegas, or maybe even a Diaz brother. I could see Nate Diaz attending the PGF, and that is who I'm going to say is going to attend the PGF. And Raph, I know that you have a lot of conversations with Mr. Nate Diaz. What would Nate Diaz say if he were to attend a PGF?
I'd be like, first of all, I'd be like, why am I here? Like, did you guys bring the weed that was supposed to get me to come here? And then second of all, I would say like, yo, it seems like cool shit. People are like doing jiu-jitsu and like, yo, it's really cool and I want to be a part of it, but I'm not.
Is that what you want?
Thank you, Mr. Diaz. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted.
Absolutely. You know, I have gotten vaguely in trouble for that impression. I don't want to go too much further than that.
Yeah. Listen, I go to Stockton all the time. I'm not saying anything negative about the Diaz brothers. I think they're great. There's no way they're showing up to PGF, though. I highly, highly doubt that they're going to take a break from whatever it is they're doing to go there. But that would be dope. They did.
And I'm not
going to say anything bad about them.
I did that as a setup for Raph to do a goofy impression.
Too late, man. You're in.
I know. That is completely set up for me to fail on. Like, that is 100% you want to make sure that the Diaz brothers come after me. I will tell you this. There has been somebody who has called me and has been like, do you know how you sound when you do that? And I go, you mean exactly like he does? And the guy's like, yeah, like, that's disrespectful. And I was like, to be honest, man, I don't know what to tell you other than I like him a lot and I've just said what he says. So... Womp womp. But yeah, I mean, you're definitely out that way. You know a little bit more than I do. I did get a note here, and I'll give you guys my recommendations. Egghead says, I bet Dana White attends. Maybe that would be kind of cool. He would definitely be a participant who loves the no-gi, as we found out this week. I'm going to give you guys one that I think is actually going to show up because he always just is somehow there in most combat sports things. Somehow David Spade is going to end up there. Don't ask me how or why. He's going to have a blonde on like arm's length right there. But David Spade has showed up to so many fights. I don't even think he knows which fights he's watching. He just shows up there and goes, hey, what is this? Oh, yeah. And then he does a little hair toss. And then they're like, it's David Spade from the Chris Farley stuff. Yeah, that. So that's what we'll end up throwing to. And it would be pretty dope, though, if we did get like a Lindsay Lohan. Because I feel you need that 2006 energy of somebody that's just right there and is just for no reason. You're like, what are they doing? Oh, is that Lindsay Lohan? All right. Mean Girls is back. I see it.
Raph, when you did that impression. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, one time I was on the Verbal Tapcast with you, and you had made a joking bit that Nate Diaz was calling into the show. Yes. And then you talked like him. And I had a student at my academy go, dude, I can't believe you were on a podcast with Nate Diaz last night. And I felt so bad. I was like, dude, that wasn't Nate Diaz, man. I didn't have the heart to tell him. You know what I mean?
But I'm a little mad you did ruin that for him, though. I'm not going to lie. I will tell you this. Yeah. One of our most popular things, like pre-internet, if you would, was we did a segment where we did like a weigh-in. And it was the Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz weigh-in. And I remember doing it like you were hearing his inside thoughts. And I was narrating it. And people were in there. They're like, how'd they get that microphone there? I can't believe that was so there. And I go, are they trying to mess with this or play further into it? And people were like, yo, the really nice compliment was, that's an amazing impression. But the really concerning ones were, yo, I can't believe Nate said that shit. And I go, oh, well then, yeah, I bid you adieu. But yeah, my favorite was this dude when he did call me. It was essentially for a press credential. And he told me at the end of it, he was like, dude, this impression's so dumb and blah, 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 and you'll never go anywhere with this. And I was like, well, honestly, the impression has done big numbers for us. I don't know what to tell you other than, like,
you're wrong.
Numbers. And then the other thing he said, he's like, you'll never work in this town. And he hits me with one of those while I was on a studio lot working on a show. And I was like, yeah, sounds good, dude. I'll talk to you later, man. You could just tell me I'm not credentialed, but nobody cares. Nobody's going to watch you anyways. All right, bye, bud. So anyway, long story short, fun times here, everybody. Those are the types of calls you get when you cover this random sport and somebody gets in their fields. But speaking in their fields, let's talk about who will gain the most weight. Now, I think this was pitched at the very end of last week, and I don't know how I feel about it as someone who enjoys food, but I feel like we have to play through here. So, Tim, I'm going to ask you first. Who stands to gain the most weight here? And I mean as an athlete, not us, because I think that's the answer that most of us are going to say.
I think it's an interesting topic because these guys are going to weigh in, I think, on Monday. Are they weighing in on the first day of competition or on the day of the auction? Right around there. And then the rest of the week, they don't have to weigh in. So they have the opportunity to really go ham, like literally go ham and see who can, like, by Friday, maybe be 200 pounds. And I think a good candidate, a sleeper candidate, is Ben Eddy. He gets a bunch of Wendy's Baconators. He goes totally off of his diet. He pigs out on Haagen-Dazs and Ben & Jerry's, and he shows up at the end of the week like a 215-pound sack of chewed bubble gum. Ben Eddy. That's what I'm looking for. I'm going Ben Eddy.
Okay, Ben Eddy. Thank you very much for that. I'm going to go on over to this way. Jake, who do you have for us on this one?
I'm going to go with Andy Varela. I think that Andy already walks around at a pretty heavy weight. He has the propensity to gain weight and drop it pretty efficiently, and I think that he's going to take full advantage of it over the course of a week. Now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Ben Eddy, I don't know, I mean, 215 pounds would be unreal. Ben Eddy at 215 would be a horrifying human being, and I don't think he'd be able to do that guillotine that he does with his leg anymore. But another person that I think stands to gain a lot of weight is Davis Asare. If I'm not mistaken, he cuts a little bit of weight to get down to his under 77 kilogram division for ADCC. And he's also somebody who is a little bit more muscle bound. So those are my two choices. I think Elijah Carlton as well. He's a pretty big guy. I think hasn't he even competed as heavy as 88 kilograms, if I'm not mistaken?
I think so, yeah.
So that's another guy who I think could gain a lot of weight, and that could play into his advantage.
Well, you are right on that because Egghead did affirm what you were saying here by saying Davis did sure not make weight for Polaris this past weekend. So that was kind of the accurate way of saying, how do I put this? In our household or our fight camps, we like to say somebody came in fat. Now, it doesn't mean they're actually fat as a human being, but like for fight purposes, they came in fat. So in this particular juncture, yes, he did come in quote unquote fat. So what I would tell you guys is this: the person who stands to gain the most weight off of this, I guess, long week is going to be me. And here's why. I don't think you guys understand this. When you do this job, you don't get to train. And when you don't get to train, I'm not in shape like the rest of these people here. So what ends up happening is I'm going to be sitting over there eating at Crafty, getting real fat, and then wondering, like, when do I get to actually do any kind of exercise? And the answer is going to be not much. So very sad, very, very fat. Give me all the food, though.
Yeah, we might. Maybe we could pull off like a pre-show host tournament amongst us, just so we have a drive to like come in shape, not eat so much. Like maybe we do it on like Saturday at the end or something.
When you say tournament, what are we looking at here? Because there's clearly one of us who would win this tournament. And I don't know that I want to make that based on jiu-jitsu. Is this like an Uno tournament that we're doing here? Like, what do we have?
I'm talking NHB grappling. Like no strikes, but you can do all the dirty stuff. You know?
Okay. You know what? Hold on. My odds just started going up here. I know young Jake Watson has definitely trained some striking, but what he doesn't know is that you and I are old for a reason. And you don't get to be old without knowing how to pull off a few dirty tricks here and there.
Well, whatever you guys want to do, I'll be a part of it.
Let's just have Jake fight then.
I was about to say, I was like, we show up there, we're like, yeah, Jake. Actually, we did ask Andy Varela, this is warm up, if you wanted to go a few MMA rounds. So have fun with that. I'm going to be over here on a treadmill. This is going to be fun. So I'll be on a speed bike or something like that. I do want to.
If he does that, I'm going to calf kick him. I'm going to calf kick him over and over and over again, and it's going to be to his detriment for PGF. So if he wants that, I'm going to calf kick him.
Don't worry, he will not have a reaction to whatever you just said there, so that's perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and go to our next topic. It is very funny to see him in the comments, and I think that was the one thing that I actually put as a response to your PGF rankings there, Tim, was I was like, I'm here for him being in his feels, because this is glorious. Just to see Andy be like, you don't think of me the way I think of me?
You gotta go deeper.
No, I know. I'm trying to, like, the problem is if I get real deep, I have to go right here. And
that's
like,
how he sounds. That's a good impression.
There. It's really good.
Yeah,
I think
like
people aren't, well, no, they're not mentally prepared for me. I'm actually not even mentally prepared for me, but I think you need to rank me a little bit higher. He's going to be the first person where the microphone is actually in his mouth. That's the only way you can hear him. So let's go to this next one. This is an interview question. I don't know which one of you yahoos did this one, but I'm putting 3 minutes on the clock. And I'm going to go ahead and say this. Jake, you could start this one off, sir.
I believe that the athlete that is going to deliver the most unhinged and out-of-pocket interview is going to be Elijah Carlton. I think that he is going to up the stakes. I think he's always pretty good on the mic in terms of riling up the crowd and getting the other athletes emotionally invested. I also think AJ Agazarm is capable of it. I also think AJ Agazarm is capable of giving a very underwhelming post-fight interview, depending on the mood that he's in. And here's my dark horse choice. I think that John Combs is, and I said this last week, he's the most unhinged athlete in this entire bracket, in my opinion. I have dealt personally with John Jones. He's a friend, and the guy's nuts. He's tried to pick me up in restaurants and fight me and single leg me in the middle of a freaking sushi bar. Like, he's unhinged, and I think that he's going to bring that same kind of energy to the post-fight interviews of PGF Season 6 for sure. So those are my 3 choices.
Let me see if I can correct you here, because I wasn't sure if my old ears heard that correctly. But at one point, it went from John Combs to John Jones. So are you also working with John Jones as well?
No, I thought I said John Combs.
You initially did, but then somewhere in there you said John Jones, and I was like, make sure I heard that one right. So we'll go back and check the tape on that.
Certainly not. I hope not anyway.
Oh, okay. Tim, what do you got for us, sir?
You know, I hate to be the guy that agrees. I'm going to agree with two of those picks. I think who's got the most to prove? I think it's Elijah Carlton. He's coming into this. He's got a big chip on his shoulder, especially after those rankings and the stink that it caused. So I could see him really trying to pull something out. Of course, AJ's always going to try to do something. And even when it seems underwhelming, sometimes it's a setup for something later. So you don't know exactly what he's going to do. And I think probably the wild card, which is something that I was thinking about this. Hey, how dare you buzz me? I think Jamie Carnell, man.
No. That's my answer. So you're done. Hold on. Hey,
from
that's my answer, and I'm going to do this
on
because we're
Inside
all
BJJ.
all the same people right here. Because guess what? Egghead's in the same feels as we are right now. Egghead, I don't like how much you and I are agreeing on all these things. Not because you're a bad person, just because you're not giving me the opportunity to have this unique take. Let me tell you why, Jamie, even when they put him up on highlights, when they had that little highlight that's going around from our sideline reporter, Alex, there's kind of like question marks at the ends of his statements. And whenever somebody ends in an up inflection on a question mark, it makes you go, does this person have confidence in what he's saying? Is he sure he knows what's coming out of his mouth? I'm not quite sure, and I'm kind of intrigued by that. So, Jamie, you're my dark horse, and I hope you live up to it because I love when you say things like, yo, there's some dunkables here. And I mean, I think I'm a dunkable, but yikes. Oh, well, you're giving me matches. Anyway, haha, fools you losers. So I'm very excited to see him do this. And yes, Egghead, you are correct. Great minds do think alike. So my props to you, sir. Thank you very much for that.
Well, I got the same idea. I think you're right.
I mean, you had it after time, so it actually didn't count. This is what we do. It's like when a jury hears something that they're not supposed to, and the lawyer goes, I want you guys to strike that from your memory. And like, it's my favorite lawyer trick in the entire world on television, which is like, you didn't hear that. And it's like, I clearly heard it, and it is going to influence me. Because what if they tell you some information that's like, oh, by the way, this guy killed it. It's like, oh, it's out of the shot clock. I'm not going to forget that. I think he murdered him. Let's go home. So just to let you guys know that. But yes, thank you very much for that. We're going to move on down. Next topic. This one isn't intriguing to me. I came up with it while talking to my tax guy yesterday for no reason at all. But who is the most likely to get caught in a scandal? And here's why we are doing this one. The original version of this was who is likely to have somebody else be their scapegoat or get caught in something that they didn't know that they were in, similar to the Ohtani scandal that is happening here with the Dodgers. It has been national news, but it makes you think, with all this extra money, could somebody have some gambling debts or things that they're running into? Because you start to put that money up there, as Ohtani will tell you, mo money, mo problems. We start with you, Tim Freeman.
Well, I think in order to answer this question, you have to ask yourself, which athlete on this list is going to need an interpreter? And if you go through the list, the guy that really sticks out to me is AJ Agazarm, because sometimes, even though I like him, he talks, but you don't know what he's saying. And you actually need somebody else to kind of tell you. We need like an AJ GPT that we could put his paragraphs in and it can just rephrase it back to us. So I think a guy like that, he's the one that has a lot to lose. He could be depending on somebody to interpret this for him. And that guy's involved in some shady stuff, just like Ohtani got ensnared. I could see AJ falling into the same thing.
I'm going to stick with you on that same idea, Tim, because I think to complete that thought, he's going to be the first athlete to ask that it be translated to a meow brother in Portuguese and then translated back to him in English.
It's going to be a little game of telephone.
Absolutely. Jake Watson, the purest of us, who stands to sin the most with some sort of shame here, sir?
What I was going to ask, the rules of this show, I can get Tim to talk for one more minute, right?
You can give him your minute if you want.
Okay, so here's the thing. I got to give Tim my minute because I don't know. I don't want to say John Combs again because
okay,
I feel
that's
like
fine. We're taking you off the screen, Tim. You have to speak for another 39 seconds.
Okay, who else could get ensnared?
Yes.
Easy. Let's go down the list. Mike John. That guy's a turd, man. He's like one of the best guys. He's the least guy to get caught. But wouldn't you be surprised if he did? They're like, what's Mike John doing? Oh, man, he's point shaving in some fantasy jiu-jitsu league. Oh, my gosh, what the hell? Yeah, he's ensnared in some scandal where they're buying turkeys and returning them back to the store for a higher price and getting paid, man. That's what I think. You know, usually it's the guy that you don't think is going to be the guy. So with my extra time, I would say Mike John.
Okay, I have some bad news for you, Tim. I am also going to give you my minute, so you have to
you
keep going. You're
son-
filibustering for the next 51 seconds.
Let's go. Okay, if it's not Mike John, then I'm going to tell you who it is. It's David Evers, and here's why. He's involved in some space stuff, right? He's like a space scientist. He's already part of that big space NASA PSYOP stuff, the grand conspiracy. You know, he signed himself away to all that already. So there's a high likelihood, if you think about it, that he's involved in something. I wouldn't be surprised if it came back and said, look, this guy flew his own plane out here, dropped a bunch of chemtrails on the way out, landed. He's going to do his Las Vegas thing. And then when he's done here, he's going to go to area, what is it? Area 21, area 51? I don't even remember.
51.
He's going to go out to one of those areas out there in the desert. He's going to be screwing around, man.
Let me point this out. This is how you know when we give somebody too much time and it's just like we waterboard tortured them to have to filibuster for a second here, because at the end of that, Tim's going as hard as he can. He goes, and he's going to go back to that alien place, you know, Forever 21. Is that where it went?
Forever 21.
Oh, God. Where is he going? Man, I'm so tired of speaking. I hate you guys so much. So people, if you're not familiar with the show, press your luck. There comes a time where you may have 3 spins. All right. So the idea is you don't want to get more whammies and whammy on out of the show. So you pass your spin to somebody else. What just happened right now was us, myself, and Jake, without even collaborating on this one, going like, nope, I'm going to pass my spins on over to Tim, because most people think you want to take that minute.
Yeah, no, you guys smelled blood in the water. You're a couple sharks, man. In the pre-show, I'm like, guys, I'm not that prepared. You know, I've been super busy. Oh, don't worry. We'll cover you, man. We got you. First thing, Jake's like, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you my minute like a good Christian. And Ralph's like, I want to go to heaven. I'm going to give you mine too.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, no, I'm just trying to follow the example of Jake. That's all, man. I'm trying to make sure that I'm being as good of a human being as I can be. I thought you
what
were
did
on
I
a
do?
roll.
I threw the best 2 guys on the list under the bus. Mike John, David Evers. Probably the guys that you could leave guarding your safe at home and everything's there when you get back, you know?
I mean, let's put it very bluntly. Whatever you think Mike John is going to do with the safe, he will do the opposite. So even if you think he's going to protect it, you might end up with some stolen cash right there. Well, good job there, Tim. You did see that one through. However, Egghead comes in with a very good observation, which is Jet Thompson, 17-year-old in Vegas. Watch out.
It's very ominous.
And his name is Jet, which honestly already sounds kind of like, I don't trust this guy. Sure, whatever you say.
Ooh.
Jet.
He's Gen Z.
He's going to spend the weekend in Circus probably.
Can I talk to your brother Boeing?
The Adventure Dome.
All right. We're going to go now to our next.
Wow.
Hey, listen, guys, it's a topical thing. I give you topical jokes. This is a topical monologue. Everybody here that can suck it. All right. Your question here, or your prompt here, is name one rule you would make as commish. So, Tim, you weren't speaking long enough. Rules dictate we go back to you. What is the one rule you would make as a commissioner right now? Go.
Okay. This is something that I've always wanted to do. All right. I want there to be overtime. I know there's no overtime, but if I could be commissioner for a day, there would be overtime on that day. And the way we would settle overtime, 2 things. We would do an eating contest. So after the match, you would have an eating contest. Whoever can eat the most onions, boom, they win. Now, if it's still tied after the eating contest, we're going to have a spelling bee, because I'm pretty sure either one of those things could knock those guys out. That's what I'm going for. I would love to see some kind of cross-functional thing as a commissioner where it's like, yeah, you think you're going to do overtime. Oh, you stalled? Oh, you stalled. You think you're going to win in overtime? Guess what we're going to do? Hey, bring out the onions. Just man, everybody from the audience can just bring their onions. People bring onions and roll them onto the mat. These guys got to eat them up. They're just like, Jamie Carnell would probably enjoy it. He'd be out there chomping through them. But yeah, that's what I would do. Eating contest first, spelling bee second, only because I think it would be hilarious to watch these grappling dudes try to spell.
All right. I'm going to go to me on this one because I'm going to kind of piggyback off of what you had. You had a good idea with the onions because it can make some tears. If I was commissioned for a day, I would make mandatory media training. Here's why. A lot of these nerds don't know how to appear on podcasts, and the ones that really think they do actually do not. Here's why. Every time they come on, they tell you the same stories they tell somewhere else. I don't want that. I want unique stuff. So what I want to do is I want to give them a day of media training before they go compete. So that means we literally have them work in a room with me. And I don't ask my normal questions. Now I get into their childhood trauma. So I start asking them questions about like, who beat you up the most? Really? How did that make you feel? And how is your relationship with your mom and dad? Is that going well? Dad didn't give you love. That's great. Let's keep talking about that. What else would you like to say about your dad? It sounds really intense. Yeah. Sounds like you have some issues that you're going to go there. Oh, by the way, you're up. Yeah. Go ahead. No warm up. You're going straight into competing right now. And let's not see these people rip each other apart after that kind of mental breakdown. I'm going to go on over to you, Jake, your minute.
If I was the commish for one day, then I would change no rules as far as overtime goes or anything like that. But I would say if it were to have an overtime, it would be combat jiu-jitsu. I would want it to be the first regulation part of the match is straight up good old-fashioned PGF no-gi. And then if it goes to overtime, slaps are on. And you have to defend yourself. You have to be ready for it. I think it would change the dynamic of the matches. I think it would make some people probably desire overtime. And it would probably shake things up a little bit more in a unique and creative way. I like the idea. What do you guys think?
I think it's a great idea.
I will say this. They did add back in slaps into overtime this weekend at Combat Jiu-Jitsu, which I actually thought was kind of cool because, man, my strategy for Combat Jiu-Jitsu was weather the storm, try to get through as much with as least. And at least if you make it overtime, they can't slap you anymore. Yikes. Not a thing anymore.
What if we do power slap as overtime? That would be highly entertaining.
No.
It's like a shootout. If we go to OT, line them up, man. You're going to slap. You're just going to be slapping each other silly. Dude, that's the game. Dana White's a visionary. That's the game right there. Shootout with the slaps. Sign me up, Dana. I'm ready to come to work for the UFC, baby. Let's go.
Dana White is the first blind visionary I think I've ever seen in my life. I want to point this out. He has inherited things that he has worked very hard with. He is very good at doing some of the Dana White things he does. Seeing things out and visualizing it, not at the top of the game. However, he has hired some very good people to make that sort of stuff happen. The jump that they had from Fox to the ESPN is really like night and day. And even before, when they jumped to Fox, it did look a lot better. But I would tell you this. We don't have the money to secure the CTE that we would have to pay for in a lawsuit later. Like, the PGF is not equipped to be sued a little bit later, like 10 years down the line, like they do for the UFC. We're trying to make sure. So I think slapping them in their face, although some of them will sign their rights away. So I don't know. It's worth it. Maybe we can ask them. Not my first comment or thought, but I will tell you this. It says, Egghead Warrior, if I was commissioned for a day, wrist locks would be 6 points. I believe that's probably heel hooks 10 points. And if I had a wrist lock bounty out there for 3 seasons. Oh, I've had a wrist lock bounty out there for 3 seasons with no takers on it. So, very interesting on that. Egghead, what was the bounty that you put out, though? Because it might just be that the bounty's low. If we're talking like scaling this up and you start putting a real bounty out there, I think you might have some takers this season.
Yeah.
So,
a wrist lock is a dirty move, dude.
Jake, how often are you wrist locking people?
I used to wrist lock them a lot more, but the thing about being a black belt in an academy is that the blue belts and purple belts look to you for inspiration when they're sitting out watching around. And I was wrist locking so much at one point that people started to do it in the gym, and they were starting to forego fundamental techniques for wrist locks, and I couldn't have that. I was like, this is not good, guys. You guys got to stop. You guys got to learn how to pass half guard before you try to wrist lock somebody.
I think Jake had a real life realization that he might have become the next Steven Seagal. That's just like kind of like bending the wrist, and people are like, "Oh my god, he's so good at this," and he's like, "Nah, I gotta teach him real jujitsu again." So I like this. Ega's trying to get to the down point of this. He says $80, not bad, especially for that day and age. And he says, how much would it need to be? So Egghead, I do need to say this. You're coming off a little strong here, okay? Like, I like the fact that you want to make this happen, but you're like, how much do you need? Like, I can mortgage part of my house, man. Let's make this happen, dude. What do you need from me? I would say an appropriate amount, given that we're making this whole 1K thing. I think if you put 100K, I think if you put 1K, if you put $1,000 on that, you'll see some wrist locks happen. The problem is, I don't know that you're going to see people want to all see wrist locks on a highlight footage. So I don't know how much the commish himself will love that when it's just like 50 different shots of people be like, oh. So just saying, there is that. So something to think about. Let's go to our next topic. And this was one that I didn't quite, it's not that I didn't love it. It's just, I think we're getting into this question a little bit early because we're not quite a week out yet. But the question is, the prompt is, who will be the wildest at the after party? Jake Watson, you start us off.
You guys have brought up this man, Jamie Carnell, over and over and over again, as well as Mike John. Well, Mike John, maybe you had said, Tim, that he was a little bit more even-keeled. I think that there are some easy answers here. I think Elijah Carlton, AJ Agazarm, Andy Varela, they're all capable of causing a certain ruckus at an after party. But I want to say, and as well as John Combs, but I think something about Cameron Hurd as well. I've seen him at the ADCC Opens. That man is, he's a little intense when he's competing. And I think that intense men, when they get to the after party, they let it all out and they often cause trouble. And I think that, well, I don't know about that from personal experience, but when I worked at the bar and I was a security guard, men like Cameron Hurd, or that looked like him anyway, or perhaps fought like him, they got kicked out of the bar. So I think that if I had to say anything, maybe Cameron Hurd is a good one. Also, Renato Canuto. I don't know why. I just have a feeling in my gut that if Renato parties, then it's just, I just have this feeling, you know? You ever look at a guy and you just say, man, if that guy were to party with me, he'd probably get in trouble.
I think you're on the right kind of path here, Jake. I think you're getting us to somewhere I'd like to go down toward too. I'm going to go ahead and make a very, very controversial statement. Now, I know Jeff Glover won't be there, but my pick is going to be Pete the Greek, and here's why. You ever just show up at an event and Pete the Greek is there? I have multiple times. And guess what? It's cool. I like running into him. He's very nice. I mean, he'll wrist lock you too, so just saying, egghead, bounty. The reason why I say it is because he might just show up there, and if he shows up, that usually means Jeff Glover's there. I know Jeff Glover was supposed to be a coach. Maybe he just accidentally ends up at the after party. Stranger things have happened. Been to different places and things in my time. But I will tell you this. There are some gold medalists in both the IBJJF and ADCC that I've seen act the full behind the scenes. And I would say this. It'd be kind of cool because I've definitely seen a certain guy named Buchecha be wild at some parties in the past. So just saying that. Tim, I'm going to turn this on over to you, sir.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. I have seen some jiu-jitsu guys let loose at the after party. Thinking back to Metamoris, the original Metamoris, the after party there was pretty spectacular. Seeing guys like Solo run around with his eye patch and a cane, looked like a drunk pirate. It was awesome. But I actually think Jake is onto something with Renato Canuto. I think he's a good dude. I think he's intense, and I could see him letting loose and backflipping over tables and maybe knocking into PJ Barch and making him spill his glass of wine or something, and a big scuffle breaks out. I could totally see that going. He's like, "You made me spill red wine on my cream sweater." Like, no. And they're all fighting. I can see that happen, man. Yeah, I'd go Renato Canuto, PJ Barch. That'd be a dope after party fight to see. To be honest with you, that'd be a good one.
Roadhouse style.
Let me bring this up. I don't know that PJ loves this interpretation we've said of him over the years, but I have said that PJ does look the profile of the villain in an 80s movie. And he does reject this a little bit, but I'm like, bro, you fit the description. As a casting director, I would 100% be like, no, this dude did some shit. Yeah, let's go ahead and make him the yuppie guy. So I don't know that he would love that, but I definitely think you're right. I think it's Canuto accidentally doing a backflip and taking out like a butler or something, and then all of a sudden Butler dies, and Canuto's just like, oh,
Guys.
oh, and then just runs out of the place. We're like, dude, he didn't even help us get rid of this body. Hey, can somebody get Otani's interpreter to help us out here? Yo, that's the celeb that's showing up. It's Ohani's interpreter. That's who's showing up. No off position to the genius switch here.
Good one.
Egghead did give us a qualifier, and he did say, Cam's a serious family man. He had a super poignant moment about missing Halloween with his family because of season 5. I think he'd be chill unless someone started something with him. Got it. So,
yeah, that's beautiful.
Someone to start stuff.
Hold on,
Cam.
I'll text AJ right now. Hold on.
That's a beautiful thing. I take back my prediction about Cameron Hurd.
You're fine. You don't have to worry about it. You didn't speak it into law. That's the best part about these takes. What you did find, though, is AJ hearing this and being like, someone is a good human being? We'll see about this. So, if anything, he's just hearing that as a dare, I'm pretty sure. All right, gents.
Family man, you say?
A family man indeed. Family man indeed. Let's go to our last prompt for this. And as we transition to this last prompt, if you guys have any questions for us, be sure to put them into the comment section, as we will have to wrap things up shortly thereafter. But our last prompt should be a fairly easy one, and I'll start down this way. Gents, which PGF grappler will do the best at trials? And we'll start with you, Tim.
I think Andy Varela has a lot of momentum going into the trials this weekend. I think there's a high likelihood he wins trials. And that's hard to say because I love a lot of those other guys on the list, man. I really do, but I think he's got a lot of momentum going into it. I wouldn't be surprised to see him do extremely well there. Other guys, John Combs, I'm sure he's going to look good. Kieran Kachuk, I don't know if Kieran's competing at the trials this weekend, but he has a stellar trials record in general. He does very well at trials, so I wouldn't be shocked to see those names on the list. Other guys you might see up there, if PJ, is PJ doing trials this weekend though? I don't know if he's already
Not sure. I'll have to find out if he has time to put down the wine and make it back on.
I think he's got like a Trader Joe's wine and cheese thing that's going on. And I'm just kidding, by the way. I really like PJ. He's a great dude. And if I thought he was going to actually like kick my ass in real life, I wouldn't say any of this. So PJ, much love, brother. Can't wait to see you, man. I know you're going to do great.
Wow.
But
dang.
Well, hey, man, I'm being serious, dude.
No, I know you're being serious, but I love you're out of time as well. But I want to point this out. There's nothing quite like using the last few seconds you have of your time to be like, I just want to say a controversial take, but also I would like to retract that controversial take in the event PJ and I make eye contact. Listen, dude, I've 100% put out my jokes about PJ and said words to him. And all PJ does is do this. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
That's it.
He answers like a villain.
He does. And then like it's always when I'm like, yo, dude, you seem like you were beating up some kid in an 80s comedy in a John Hughes film, and he just kind of goes, okay. And you go, that's exactly what they would say. Why would you not be that? Like, why would you not learn any better from here? So Jake, we're going to go to you right now.
All right. So Egghead Warrior just put something down in the chat as well regarding PJ, so you can talk about that in a second, Raph. But I do think John Combs is going to be great. I think that since we're probably not going to see PJ at trials, I would have chose him as well. Andy Varela does have a lot of momentum. And here's the thing, somebody like Daniel Sadler is sort of a dark horse. I think he's very, very good. A lot of people don't know about him, but he's great fighting out of Autos. I also really like Davis Asare. If he's signed up for the West Coast trials, he has done really well, made it all the way to the finals of the European trials. And so he has some momentum coming into West Coast as well. He's learning super fast. We talked about him last week. His claim to fame is choking out Gordon Ryan in training, which obviously that's incredible. And you're right, Tim, about Kieran Kachuk. He has a great trials record as well. I don't know if Max Hansen is signed up, but if he is, he's also riding a certain bit of momentum. He won the Enigma $10,000 cash prize. He made it to the finals of the Zapatero Invitational, only losing to DeAndre Corbet in the final. Looked impressive the entire weekend, submitting everybody. So he's riding a certain bit of momentum. But those are my choices. I think at this is a absolutely stacked list, but it's going to be insane.
So just so we're all in agreement here, I think a lot of us see a lot of these standouts here. So with just a few seconds, I don't want to go too deep into it because I think we're all on the same page here. And yes, if PJ did already qualify as a 4th place, some of these rules I don't understand. I think we just call them Mo's rules, where it's like, oh, everybody knows if you place top 4, I just like automatically invite you. And it's like, did you do that before? Because I feel like the issue that we're having is more and more people are doing ADCC. So thus some of the rules that were embedded in years past means that they will change and adapt. And we're going to see them just kind of not be the same standard because more people are doing it. So everybody expects an invite when they get down to it. Standouts to me, I think Canuto will give you some highlights if he is doing it, which is great. PJ Barch doesn't have to do it, which is great. Andy Varela, he's very angry that he was the number 2 bullet point. So he's already telling people, hey, if I don't talk to you when you come to the gym, it's because I have my headphones in. So I hope he actually competes with headphones inside of his ears. That would actually be very entertaining. And I want to point this out. You mentioned Max Hansen. He's been on a big tear. And I feel like every time you see him have like a little bit of a setback, he comes back stronger. And I feel like that's one of the people that you like to see peak at one of these things. Don't disrespect John Combs. He is a former ADCC Trials winner. He knows exactly how to do that. On the right day, a lot of these guys can make things happen. And just to go down the list, yes, I could see other people giving highlights, but those are going to be the people that I put a lot more money in stock on. To the rest of you guys, the great thing about ADCC Trials is that we're always standing to be surprised. So all of us here, all of us who are watching, as much as we have our favorites and our predictions, and they tend to do well, these are the moments where you can shine and you can change opinions and you can make us see what you're worth. Because to us, we're watching and we want to see people do good jiu-jitsu. So just make it so that it's harder for us to not pick you. So don't yell at us if we don't pick you. Just be better. Because guess what? That's how you get in. You don't get in because I like you best. If you did, it'd be a very weird fucking ADCC Trials, if I'm being honest. Because I got a lot of friends in this community, and half the time, especially when we're watching people compete against each other, it's like, oh, it's friend of the show versus friend of the show. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, whoever wins comes on the show. That's how it is. And guess what? Sometimes even when you don't win, I still pull you on because you have a great run. So don't be surprised if you hear from myself or Tim thereafter you in the DMs, but always go to me first, then Tim, and then somewhere down the line, if Open Guard podcast hits you up, which I don't even know if they do interviews, you can get to them 15th.
Well, I mean, it's not we anymore. My second half of the Open Guard cast got a full-time position with the IBJJF, so he is exclusive. And so I have to figure out how to do this whole podcasting thing on my own.
To the dark side. Got it.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm still me, dude. I'm still Jake Watson.
I'm just saying, oh yeah, you only
look,
work
man.
for like the diet dark side. That's perfectly fine.
No, I don't work for the Diet Dark Side. I
Yeah.
get contracted by the Diet
There
Dark
we
Side.
Who's trying to work for the
I'm the guy that was
IBJJF?
1099 to work the
Hold
Death
on.
Star. You know what I'm saying?
This is so great. There's nothing quite
wow.
like, no. Darth, I hardly know him. He does sign my paychecks. But
Yeah,
like, I
right.
guess, does he really do anything bad to us? He's okay.
His ringtone is dun 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 dun. No, you don't know him.
He's never force choked me, okay? So there
I've
is
never
that.
had to. Yeah.
Right. We need to round third. Some of us have to get to places.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's plug some stuff. Watson, you go first.
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Jake Watson Media. I'm trying to make more content, up everything I can. I'll be at the ADCC West Coast Trials. I'll be at PGF Season 6, but I'll also be at the Bethlehem qualifier for the Sapatero Invitational. And I'll be at Who's Number 123 on Flow Grappling May 10th as well. So I'm going to be pretty much very, very busy over the next couple months, but that's what I got going on. You guys can follow me and keep up with it there.
I forgot to say this. This is how I do a lot of work here. I actually forgot there was another WTF moment that we didn't actually get to. I didn't just have one preloaded for Tim. I actually had another one that was, I believe, preloaded for you. So let me go ahead and go back on over to the board group. We've already seen the power rankings. Let's go over to this way. And I want to ask you this because I feel like, Jake, this is my WTF to you. What the hell am I looking at here? Because
Okay,
I saw you in dire need of help here, and I don't know
explain
what was going on.
Okay, here's what happened. I got those shoes as a gift. When I worked at Bank of America for a period of 6 months, I had a boss who was super into the UFC. He called himself a couch black belt. His name was Sean Shivers. This guy was awesome. He's a super cool guy, and he gave me this pair of shoes. He was like, here, you can have these. It was just shoes that were really, really comfortable that I would wear when I knew that my feet weren't going to be displayed on camera, right? Like, they're not going to have a full body shot of me. So I wore those, and then I went to get up, and I had one foot overlapped over the other, and then it just ripped apart. I threw those shoes away. That guy put gaff tape on my shoes, and he was like a guy just contracted with Flow Grappling. But that, I threw those shoes away after the show. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Jake, why did you get dress shoes that were essentially made out of Crocs? Like, I think you're the first person to be able to do that.
I just said they were a gift. I wouldn't have bought those shoes if I saw them
how
for
did you not know they weren't
$5.
Crocs? Like, how are you the only person rocking a Croc dress shoe?
No, I wore those on several occasions, and they didn't look like that. They don't have like holes in the top or the bottom. They just when they come apart, you see the surprise on the inside. You're like, oh my gosh, they're freaking Crocs. I didn't know, and I would never wear Crocs with a suit.
I just subcontracted with the Death Star, man. I didn't know that much about it. I worked for Bank of America too. It's not that big of a deal.
I signed on before they became the whole like Death Star. I was here first. I didn't know that's what was going on, Your Honor. And that's why today, inconclusively, not guilty. Me and my number 10 power representing my pre-show Diddy. So just saying. I want to make sure that we point this out. And there was a very nice moment here from Egghead who says, great show, gentlemen. You're going to be fun to watch during the PGF World 6. You better believe that. So I'm going to go on over to our good friend Tim. Tim, plug your stuff.
Hey, you could catch me on Inside BJJ, all the socials. We just had Jamie Carnell on, and I interviewed this guy with my co-host, and we talked to him for a good 30 minutes before I realized this fool was in a bathtub doing the interview. And I didn't catch it till the very end here in the splish splash. I'm like, wait a minute, Jamie, where are you? He's like, I'm in the bathtub. Later, when I checked my phone, he actually texted me and said, hey, man, cool if we take the call from my bathroom. I probably would have said no, but I'm glad I didn't. So you could catch that on Inside BJJ. That's the place to find me. If you're in Nashville, come train with us at 10th Planet Nashville. And if you're out in the 209, you could check out 10th Planet Stockton out there. We'd love to have you. So, yeah, man. Stoked, dude. Thanks for having me, Raph.
Gentlemen, great work here today. I'm going to do my closure. But before I do, I'm going to let Jake get on out of here. My thanks to you guys for watching along with us. And I got to tell you guys this, we continue to do these shows every Wednesday. So make sure to make us appointment television. We're going to be the pre-show that walks you into the big show. So make sure that you get informed and you know what's coming with us, because we have even heard there's some news coming up soon. And we can't disclose what that is. But guess who's going to be one of the first people to talk about it in any kind of way, shape, or form? It's going to be us. So just remember you heard that. And I do love here, it says, I loved your mock auction draft, Tim. Well, good news for you guys. There is going to be a draft here on this show in one of the future episodes. So just so you're aware, there will be some draftage happening here. However, that also means, oh no, now that I'm thinking about it, somebody has to do the mock draft graphics. Oh man, I didn't think about that. All right. Jake, thank you. Tim, thank you. Tim, I'll say bye to you off air, but I'm going to go ahead and start plugging my stuff. My appreciation to you both, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Love you, Raph. Have a good one.
Love you. All right, let's go back to me. All right, camera on me. Let's close this ish on out. Ladies and gents, my name is Raph Esparza. I appreciate you guys for watching along with us here for the PGF pre-show. This is our third installment. A couple quick reminders. We mentioned this up top, but check this out. We got merch, rapesparza.com/merch. You can go help us out by buying some great merch that supports the show. I'm hoping to see a lot of folks wearing some Grappling Hour t-shirts over at ADCC and then some. So make sure to get you and yours some right now. So that's what we got going on over there. Additionally, if you guys want to go over to patreon.com/grappling hour, you could support our show, see our interviews 30 days before anybody else. We have a few things coming up, but yes, we did just put up one interview with Mike John. I think it's pretty good. Probably better than Tim's. He's not here. Just saying. Okay. He's not here. He can't hear me. I think it's better than his. It'll come out free for everybody, but he gets paid right now. So go check that out. And yes, I do see your note here, Egghead, for being a fourth. You were definitely in contention, so don't worry. Got to figure that out. But yes, noted. A couple quick other reminders. Yes, we have a lot more interviews. A lot of stuff went up. We had an interview with Joseph Rodriguez that went out yesterday, free for all. Go check that out on the Grappling Hour page. Additionally, after you go check that out, you can pay a few extra dollars on our Patreon as well for our premium sort of stuff. We're doing ADCC character studies, which means profiles on every single competitor so that you guys know what I know as I do my research. And we're going to do tape studies and roast Raph, a segment where people roast my competition footage. Last couple things. As reminders, if you guys want to like, comment, and subscribe, I said I'd give you a prompt here. I'm going to ask you guys one of our prompts, which is, who do you think is going to be the celebrity that shows up with us for the PGF Season 6? Give us your best inclinations and clues down there. And last but not least, in addition to the like, commenting, and subscribing, join our Discord over at the Grappling Hour. Ladies and gents, we appreciate you for joining us here today. We will be back here next Wednesday. And don't forget, all this weekend, your boy Rafa Esparza is going to be doing a live fight companion for the entire ADCC event. That means when Flow starts, we start 10 minutes later. Because let's be real, they're very bad about starting on time. So I try to give myself some leeway. But we'll be broadcasting live from New Ground Jiu-Jitsu on day 1 for Saturday, and then over at Milton Aguayo's Mixed Martial Arts Academy for day number 2. We're going to have some friends joining in virtually and in person. So I hope that you guys will make time to join us because I got to tell you guys, it's really boring without us. And not to sell out our good friend Jake Watson, but he did admit in this episode he's part of the Empire. And really, you kind of watch some like Ewoks. Like, that's what we are. We're some Ewoks doing some coverage. We're adorable. We're cute. Maybe a little overrated. Maybe you hate us. But guess what? We're going to take down one of those tauntaun things, whatever they call. But yes, ladies and gents, that's going to do it for us here at the PGF Bullpen Preview Show. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.